I'm going to try and take the mystery out of wireless audio. I believe anybody can operate wireless audio equipment well, with just a little bit of practice. I hope you'll follow along with transmitter, lavalier mic, and receiver in hand. What is wireless audio? A wireless audio system consists of a mic, a small radio transmitter, and a small radio receiver. When the mic's plugged into the transmitter, and the transmitter and receiver are both tuned to the same frequency and nothing else is on that frequency, we can mic something up without wires. And something that's further away, then it might be practical to run an XLR cable. With clear line of sight, this can be a couple hundred feet or less if there's something in the way. 25 feet, 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet, 125 feet, 150 feet, 175 feet, 200 feet, 225 feet, 250 feet, 250 feet, 275 feet. "75 feet. "100 feet. Something's in the way. So what's in the way? 125 feet. You can see me on camera the whole time, but that's not what matters. What matters is whether the two antennas have line of sight. 150 feet. And every time I turn around, I'm actually blocking that line of sight with my body. Interesting finding, something to listen for and watch for and be very careful about in the field. Some important things about wireless audio. A receiver can pick up signal properly from only one transmitter at a time. How much power do these use? In the United States, wireless audio equipment can be operated at a maximum of 50 milliwatts. This is labeled the high power setting on our equipment. There's also a medium and low power setting that you could use at shorter ranges. How long do the batteries last? According to Sennheiser, 3 bars means more than 8 hours, 2 bars means 4 to 6 hours, and 1 bar of battery means 2 to 3 hours. But actual performance varies. Batteries don't last as long when they're cold, and the gear draws a tiny amount of current even when it's switched off. Around the world, wireless audio equipment can be operated only on certain frequencies. Some of those frequencies are already occupied by existing license holders, mostly television broadcasters, emergency services, and cellular phone operators. Our wireless audio equipment operates on one of 3 bands, which Sennheiser calls AW+, A, and GW1. As of right now, it's legal to use our gear at full power, 50 milliwatts, anywhere in the United States on any unused frequency in these ranges. What frequencies are free and what frequencies are already occupied are different depending on where you are geographically. In general, densely populated areas have more frequencies that are already in use and less free for us. Sparsely populated areas have fewer frequencies that are already in use and more for us. Wireless audio is always the lowest priority use of any given frequency. If another type of device is on the same frequency we are, it has more right to that frequency than we do, and we need to find another frequency. If it's any comfort, this is just as true for major motion pictures as it is for student productions. Fewer frequencies are available for wireless audio than there used to be, and that trend is continuing. So a frequency that's free today in a given place might not be next week. Monitor wireless audio very closely at all times for interference and for signal loss. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. 25 feet. 50 feet.
1646.
475 feet. All our wireless audio equipment is Sennheiser G4. We have some configured for use in the field and some for use in the studios. Field production wireless kits can be checked out from the production office. Our studio wireless equipment is built into 2 rolling cases, one assigned to Studio A and the other to Studio B. The idea is, Once you learn how to use the field production wireless kits, you pretty much know how to use the studio gear as well, just a little bit different interface on the receiver. In the field production kits, the body pack transmitter, SK500, and the camera mount receiver, EK500, look very similar. The best way to tell the difference is the body pack transmitter has one plug on top, the input for the lavalier mic, while the receiver has two plugs on top, one labeled AF out, that's what sends mic level signal to a recording device, as well as a headphone plug. We use the same SK500 body pack transmitters and lavalier mics in all of our kits, field and studio, exactly the same transmitters. Field kits 9 through 12 are EW100, and they have two transmitters. Only one of them can be used at a time, but the second transmitter, called a plug-on transmitter, can turn a Rode NTG2 or Sennheiser K6 ME66 into a wireless microphone. These plug-on transmitters don't provide phantom power, so make sure there's a fresh battery inside the handle of your microphone. And we use wireless audio receivers that perform the same functions in slightly different physical packages. The camera mount receivers in field kits and rack mount receivers mounted in the studio carts. The good news is that our equipment can scan what frequencies are free and what frequencies are in use wherever you are at the moment and pick the best ones. Here's how to do that with our field equipment. Make sure you have the receiver in hand, not the transmitter, and turn all other wireless equipment off. Open the door on the front of the receiver that you want to tune and press the on-off button. The blue screen will light up and show you a control panel. Press the set button, then use the up or down arrows to find easy setup. Use the set button again to select easy setup. Under easy setup, use the up or down arrows to find scan new list, then use the set button again to select scan new list. The receiver takes about a minute to work all the way across its range, identifying frequencies that would give you poor results and temporarily programming them out of the frequencies available. This is a seriously useful feature. Scroll to current list and press the set button again. The receiver groups currently available frequencies into banks. Scroll up and down through the 20 banks on this receiver and choose one of them. The receiver will choose the first available frequency in that bank for you. If you're working with more than one transmitter-receiver pair, it's good practice to choose a different bank for each transmitter-receiver pair. Now turn on the wireless transmitter you want to tune to this receiver. On the receiver, use the up or down arrow buttons to navigate to the menu item called Sync, and press Set to select it. The display will show Sync with a large target icon next to it. Pick up the transmitter and the receiver. Look for two clear circles next to the on-off button. These are each unit's infrared sensors. Point the transmitter and receiver's infrared sensors at each other about 4 inches apart. The target icon next to Sync will briefly turn into a check mark. The receiver's RF sensor light will turn from off to green, and there will be a tiny tick mark in the transmitter's display next to the frequency. If the receiver displays an X, it couldn't tune the transmitter. Try the sync procedure again, holding the units a little closer together. Alternately, go back to Easy Setup on the receiver, choose Current List, and choose a different bank and channel. Then go to the transmitter menu, choose Frequency Preset, and use the up and down arrow buttons and the Set button to choose that frequency. How to set good levels. In general, we don't want one device that's turned almost all the way up and another device to be turned almost all the way down. The wireless audio receiver and transmitter each has its own audio level you need to check and set, in addition to the record level on your camera or outboard audio recorder. Mount the receiver to the slot on top of the camera called a shoe. Use the 1/8 inch to XLR cable provided in the kit to connect the receiver's AF out to the recording device's XLR input. Set the recording device to mic level input. Leave phantom power off. Set the recording device's record level to the middle of the range. On the wireless audio receiver, use the Set button and the up and down arrow buttons to choose AF out. Check that it's set to 0 dB. On the transmitter, use the Set button and up and down arrow buttons and select Sensitivity to control the microphone's level. For dialogue, -21 dB is a good starting place. Sound check the person or other source of sound that you're miking up. Adjust transmitter sensitivity, receiver AF out, and your recording device's input level, and watch the levels on each of those three devices so that something that peaks at -12 dB on the transmitter peaks at -12 dB on the recording device. Always monitor what the recording device is actually recording. What is squelch? Squelch takes the quiet parts and makes them quieter. Squelch can't distinguish noise from signal. When audio level falls below a certain threshold, all squelch does is turn it down some more. So, while squelch can reduce background noise, it can also create artifacts in the sounds that you do want to record. How do we set squelch? On the receiver's home screen, press Set to open the menu. Press the up or down button until you find squelch. Press the Set button to open the squelch settings. I recommend choosing a very low setting such as 5 dB. Press the Set button again to save your changes. Traveling overseas. Just as the Federal Communications Commission regulates use of the electromagnetic spectrum, including radio frequencies, in the United States, similar governmental agencies do the same thing in other countries. Wherever you go, you're responsible for knowing on what frequencies it's legal to operate wireless audio gear at what power levels. There's a partial list at this website, apwpt.org, but it's up to you to research what's legal to operate where you're going. Please contact the technical director as you begin planning any part of a production outside the U.S. around wireless audio. Bring documentation into the field, whether paper or in electronic form, whether the manufacturer's user manual, the quick start guide, or especially this video. Take time to set up and experiment with wireless audio before you need it. How long a mic cable do you have? Watch battery levels closely and bring fresh spare batteries. Happy shooting! I hope to hear what you make.